Steelers hire Dan Quinn to match with their new general manager, Adam Peters, to lead this franchise into the future.
The way that we live is not for everybody, okay? It's not, all right? Because we're going to run and put our bodies on people in a violent manner.
Whether the team is giving us the highest of highs or the bluest of blues, we'll cover it all here on Commanders Nightly News. I, of course, am your host, Louie T. Thank you for joining me. Let's get to tonight's lead story. So, the Washington Commanders have a chance to do something that they haven't done since that wonderful, magnificent, franchise-altering 1991 season. Start 5-0 at home. And with that 5-0 start, if they can beat the Pittsburgh Steelers, they would have established Northwest Stadium as a true home field advantage. It's one thing to beat the Carolina Panthers. It's one thing to beat the Cleveland Browns or the New York Giants. Hell, even the Bears. It's a totally different animal to defeat the Pittsburgh Steelers. This is by far and away the biggest challenge the Commanders have had at home this season. And for more reasons than just one, right? Obviously, the 6-2 mark is the best record of any team the Commanders have seen this entire season. That includes the Baltimore Ravens. However, it's not because of the record just alone that this is a big game and a big deal if the Commanders were to win. It's more because of who the Steelers are and how they travel, and we know what kind of damage they can do in terms of showing up, showing out. They roll with a deep crew wherever they go, and they can take a stadium and turn it upside down in a heartbeat. We've seen it done numerous times here in Washington over the years. So if Washington can somehow defeat the Pittsburgh Steelers at home, go 5-0 for the first time since 1991 at home to start a season, and truly transform Northwest Stadium, aka North Dub, to a true home field advantage, the ripple effect could be massive. Once upon a time, and I know most of you are not old enough to remember. Hell, I'm not really old enough to remember. I caught the tail end of RFK Stadium. But once upon a time, we had the most feared and revered stadium in all of the National Football League. And it was one of the toughest places to play. I don't know if we'll ever be able to recapture the magic of RFK. However, what we can do is reestablish our home field as a place you don't want to play as an opposition. And so here's an opportunity to beat a team that we know is fully capable of coming in with their fans and taking over a stadium and leaving victorious. Again, they've done it here multiple times. This is the biggest test the Commanders have had at home this season. And if they're able to win this game, we would have established ourselves as a true home field advantage team. It's hard to win games in this league. It's hard to win games at home in this league. A lot harder to win on the road than it is at home. But teams like Atlanta, for instance, have lost more games at home than they have on the road. They've played more games at home, but that's nor here nor there. Also, something that is becoming a real thing is the amount of energy and noise that is being created by this fan base. They are actually having a real impact on the game. Daron Payne, now take this with a grain of salt, talked about the impact of the crowd, and he talked about how the fans and the crowd are really providing juice to the defensive players in particular. He talked about the Dante Fowler Jr. interception and how loud and raucous the stadium was for that, and that's one of outside of the Hail Mary, um, that's one of the loudest times I've heard the crowd this season. It was almost deafening. The only thing that topped it was obviously the Hail Mary against the Bears. And Duran said, look, the crowd is literally helping facilitate a lot of things. Offsides penalties. We've seen that happen to the Bears. It happened to the Browns. Remember, the Browns were in a position to score a touchdown. They had several penalties and then had to ultimately kick a field goal in a situation where they had to have a touchdown because they had backed up so far. And so um, he talked about teams having to actually go on a silent count. Remember the days when we would actually have to go on a silent count at home because the opposing team's fans came in and were so loud that we couldn't even hear our own cadence? Those days are gone. And in are the days of now our fans creating enough noise that opposing teams have to go on a silent count. And Deron Payne said, look, that silent count is a massive advantage for the defense because I know you've all seen it. When teams have to go on a silent count, you see the guard peek back, look at the quarterback. Once the quarterback gives that guard the sign, the guard then gets into his stance, sticks his hand out. That tells the center, quarterback's ready for the ball, and he snaps it. Well, if you're a defensive lineman and you're looking at the ball and you see all of this taking place, soon as you see that hand go out, you got to start, a head start to jump and go and try to get to the quarterback, try to get into the backfield and get to the running back. And so there's a distinct advantage that comes with a team having to go silent count. And it takes away the advantage of the hard count, right? Now you don't have to worry about jumping off sides because of a great hard count or cadence by a quarterback. There's so many advantages to having your home crowd be involved and a true difference maker. And so that's what this is morphing into. And a win against the Steelers will go a long way in establishing North Dub as a place that opposing teams do not want to come in to and play. Duran also said, and this is why you have to take it with a grain of salt, that the last time he heard the stadium this loud was the playoff year. And I said, Duran, you've only been a part of the playoffs once, and that was in 2020. You can't be talking about 2020. And of course he was talking about 2020. And I was like, that was COVID, bruh. There was nobody in the stands in 2020 except for immediate friends and family, and they were socially distanced in one section. But hey, to each its own, right? Maybe those 50 fans were very loud, I guess. But anyway, it feels good to be having this conversation. What a week this has been, right? You know what would make it even sweeter? You know what the best way to cap off a very, very exciting and exhilarating week in which we have had our really good season turn into a potentially great season with an acquisition, end it with an exclamation mark and a win over the best team we've seen this season record-wise in the Pittsburgh Steelers, all while exacting a measure of revenge. Let's turn North Dub into a place the ops don't want to go. Got a chance to really do that this Sunday. Remember, last year we won one home game. One. And it was in week 1. We have a chance to be 5-0 for the first time since 91 to start a season at home. Let's make it happen. In other news, remember, this video was recorded pre-recorded before Dan Quinn spoke. We got the injury report, all of that good stuff. So everything that I'm about to do is an exercise in predicting the future, essentially. I'm actually pretty good at this. So gonna give it a run, see what we can get done. And we'll get to the meat and potatoes of why we're here. So let's first and foremost get to our injury report, the final one of week 10 for both teams, starting with the good guys. And let's talk about what I think is ultimately going to happen. I'm going to predict that Dan Quinn is going to come to the podium. And first thing he's going to do is lay out the 3 captains for the week. And after he does that, he's going to then go through who is and isn't going to suit up this week. Marshawn Lattimore will not play this week. That almost feels like a given at this point. Cornelius Lucas will also be out. No surprise there. We've talked about that. Austin Seibert, just fine. No kickers have been trotted out. They haven't did anything, haven't made any moves to put themselves in a position to have to adjust. So feel pretty confident he's fine. Dorrance Armstrong, fine. Tyler Biadasz, fine. Cleveland Farrell, fine. Dante Fowler Jr., fine. Brian Robinson Jr., this is what DQ is going to tell us. He's had a good week of work. He's trending in the right direction. We'll work him out on Sunday prior to the game. But all signs point to Brian Robinson Jr. being able to go this week. That's what he's going to tell us. Noah Igbenogany, fine. Colson Yankoff, I think, will ultimately be out of this game due to a hamstring. We'll keep an eye on that one. So that is what I think is going to happen for the Commanders from an injury standpoint as we transition to the ops and the Pittsburgh Steelers. Honestly, there's nothing here that, to me, sticks out enough for us to even be remotely interested nor concerned. Terrell Edmonds and Michael Pruitt both will be out of this game, is my guess. Everybody else is playing, and guess what? Doesn't matter. It doesn't. I mean, the only other guy up here that you could say it makes a difference that isn't a full participant is Nick Herbig, and I still think he's going to play. So he could be out, but they got Preston Smith now to go along with, Alex Highsmith and TJ Watt. They're fine at edge rusher. They got plenty of depth now. So there's really no advantage gained by this injury report. So we don't really even need to spend a lot of time on it, honestly speaking. So now we get back to what DQ said at the podium. Again, I'm guessing here, but he's going to talk about the captains, as I mentioned. He's going to talk about some injury situations, update, the media on that. He'll talk about some last minute things that, the team decided, like Marshawn Lattimore not playing. Maybe somebody will ask him a specific question about Austin Seibert. He may get into greater detail on his situation. But ultimately, he'll talk about the Steelers, the challenges that they pose, his great respect for Mike Tomlin and what he brings to the table, and know that it's going to be a physical game. Special teams is going to be huge. These are the things I expect him to say. But ultimately, we got to find a way to get it done, right? So with that said, let's go ahead and give away some tickets. Once again, big shout out to Phil Ricards for donating these 2 tickets to this game. This is a sellout, folks. I think this is where we're trending in terms of, getting into the stadium. I think it's going to become increasingly harder as this team becomes really good fans are going to gravitate towards the stadium. They're going to want to be a part of this. And I think some of this is a direct response to the Steelers being the opponent. They travel well. We're really good. They're really good. It makes for a big time matchup that people want to be in the stands for. But I mean, think about all of the remaining home games this season. You've got this one, Eagles. You got the Cowboys next. Then the Eagles after that. I think the Titans and then the Eagles after that. Right? Let me see. We played. I can't. I don't know. I don't know where we play the Titans. My guess is it's probably in Tennessee because we played them in Washington the last time we played them back in 2022. But it could be in Washington still. But it feels like a game that one probably should be home. No, I think that one's on the road. But these don't know where the Atlanta game is either. I know the Saints game is on the road in New Orleans. I do know that for a fact. So if we play the road home thing, you have. Okay, I'm not going to do this. Let's just look it up. I always do this. I always try to figure things out. Oh, I'll just do it mentally. No, forget all of that. Let's just look it up. All right. So we are home for the Titans game. So we are home for the Titans game. Then we go on our bye. We come off the bye. We go to the Saints, home for the Eagles, home for the Falcons, and then at Dallas to finish up. So we got a lot of home games. We really are able to recoup a lot of the road games that we had early in the season by finishing up with a lot of home games. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 out of our final 6 games are at home, which is a good thing. And when you look at that home schedule, outside of the Titans, all of those games have a chance to be really, really heavily attended. The Falcons game, the Cowboys game, the Eagles game, and the Steelers game. So I look forward to seeing what is ultimately going to become of these home games. And this one sold out. And so these 2 tickets, these feel like precious cargo here. So big shout out to my guy, Phil Ricards, for donating these to the mob. And good luck to everyone who used the hashtag #PenTakeover. Here we go. Congratulations to Shauna Gang for winning the 2 tickets. I started to say, you can't have the tickets because you're going to bring your husband with you. And he's not a Commanders fan. You already told us he's a Saints fan. So right there, I'm like, I don't think you should get the tickets. No, I'm kidding. You can take whoever you want to take with you. Congratulations. Make enough noise for the 2 of you in case he decides he wants to sit there like a lump on a log. Make enough noise for both of you guys, and you know what to do. Bring home the dub. Now, in the event that Shauna does not claim the tickets, Swaggy P, you're up. And It feels like you're the groomsman, never the groom, right? This isn't the second time you've been the runner-up, right? Um, eventually, I'm telling you, eventually you're gonna end up getting, some tickets here. But um, if she doesn't claim them, they're coming to you, and I know how to get in contact with you. So you'll definitely be on speed dial in the event that she doesn't claim the tickets. But congratulations to you both, and whomever ends up with the tickets, you know what to do. All right, this is a big one. So do what you got to do. All right. That said, let's get to the game plan and what it's going to take to do exactly that. Bring home the dub. Start 8-2 for the first time since 1986. Start 5-0 at home for the first time since 1991, and go into that Eagles game with a ton of momentum, and have a chance to do what we talked about yesterday, which is take over the state of Pennsylvania. We need both of them. And you got to get this one first. The most important fight is the one that we're currently in. That's this one against the Steelers. So, this is a well-coached team that we're going to play against, hence the record. They think they have a chance to do something just like we think we have a chance to do something this year, which is why they were so aggressive at the trade deadline. This is a reinvigorated Steelers team with Russell Wilson at the helm. This is probably the first time Steelers fans, think they can do something. They're not just some token team that might show up as the 7th seed in the postseason and get bounced in wild card weekend. They think they can do damage. We got to take this one seriously. Not that we don't take any opponent seriously, but this is one of those ones that I don't want to call it a measuring stick or a litmus test or any of that, because we passed all of that. We left that in the Rivera era. We don't talk about litmus tests and measuring sticks and none of that shit anymore. We expect to beat everybody. We're equal opportunity offenders. Everybody can get work. So, what is it going to take to beat the Steelers? Let's start with the offensive keys to victory. And let's start with the first one. This is a big one. All of them are big. This is a big one. Bully the bullies and neutralize their D-line and edge rushers. Bully the bullies and neutralize their defensive line and edge rushers. Look, Joe Witt Jr. talked about it. Dan Quinn talked about it. We all know it. If you watch football, you know the Steelers' identity is rooted in physicality. They want to punk you. They want to beat you up physically. They want to pound you into submission. They want to make you quit. It's part of the reason why they're one of the best run defenses in football, and they're one of the best rush offenses in football, because their identity is rooted in the trenches, at the line of scrimmage. They want to beat you up physically. They take pride in being the tougher team. But this ain't that type of party. We are the number 3 rush offense in football for a reason. We ain't scared. We ain't punks. You know how we get down. We talk about being violent, playing fast and physical. Joe Witt Jr. said, hey, our mantra is this game's going to be physical because we're in it. So if that's the case, you know what the Steelers are bringing to the table. You know what they're trying to do. You know their MO. We got to match their intensity and then exceed it. I felt like we didn't bully the Ravens. I felt like we went in kind of timid, respected them a bit too much. We're a different team now, though. We learned from that game. I think we have to establish ourselves in this game and be able to run the football and neutralize their defensive line and their edge rushers. We know the type of impact that they can have. We've talked so much about TJ Watt, but don't forget about Alex Highsmith. Don't forget about their defensive tackle, Cam Hayward. Don't sleep on Preston Smith, our old friend. If Nick Herbig plays, don't forget about him. They got guys that can impact the game from the defensive line and edge rusher positions. And it's not just TJ Watt alone. But when it's all said and done, you can run on the Pittsburgh Steelers. To hell with their rushing statistics defensively this season. I watched Tyrone Tracy set a career high in his young NFL career against the Pittsburgh Steelers. I watched the Dallas Cowboys on a Sunday night put together their best rushing performance of the season. The Cowboys can't run the football on anybody. They stink running the football, and they ran it on the Steelers. Don't tell me you can't run the ball on the Steelers. They can be bullied. So bully the bully. Next offensive key. Protect Jaden and the Duke. I talk about this every week, but this is never more important than this week because, one, they can get to the quarterback. Two, they force turnovers. They're plus 10. Number 3 overall in the NFL. And creating turnovers and taking care of the football. You can create turnovers, but if you're giving it away at an alarming rate, you're not going to be plus 10. They do a great job of taking care of the football in addition to creating turnovers. Well, we can't feed into that. We got to first take care of it on offense and then get the defense to create some and create some life. But the offense's job is to continue on the historic pace that they're on, which is 3 turnovers in the first 9 weeks of the season. Best in the NFL since they started taking the statistic of turnovers, which is, 1933? I think I said 1950. No, 1933. Nobody's ever been as good as we've been at protecting the ball, and we're doing it with a rookie quarterback, a brand new offense, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Keep it that way. Protect Jaden and protect the Duke. Next offensive key. This is a big one. All of them are big. This is a big one, though. Score points and be red zone efficient. We need to score at least a bare minimum of 3 touchdowns in this game. The Steelers are definitely a better offense with Russell Wilson under center. But they still aren't lighting the scoreboard up. They scored 26 points against the Giants. They can score now. If you turn it over, they'll put up some points. They put up some points on the Raiders. They put up some points on the Jets. But there were a bunch of turnovers by both the Raiders and the Jets in those respective games, which allowed the Steelers to pounce and to score. You protect the football, they're not a dynamic offense. They're more dynamic than they were with Justin Fields under center, but by no means are they lighting up scoreboards. You score 30 points, you score 31, probably going to win this game. We may not make it to 30, but if we get to the high 20s, we're hovering around 30, that probably is going to get the job done. Score points. But more importantly, we got to be more efficient in the red zone. It's been terrible at home in particular. We weren't great last week on the road against the Giants in the second half. We were awesome in the first half, going 3 of 3. Then we were 0 of 3 in the second half. The last one, probably shouldn't count because literally we took knees at the 1 yard line, but it counts, unfortunately. But really, we were 3 of 5. Still, we can be better. We need to be better. So be better. Get down there and put the football in the end zone and apply pressure to a Steelers offense that frankly does not score it all that well. It's time that we start living up to our 3rd overall points per game ranking from a scoring offense standpoint. Haven't hit 30 in what? 3 weeks? Last time we hit 30 or more was the Carolina game. We're due for a 30-point performance. Let's make it happen. And then last but not least, and I keep saying this is a big one. They're all big. But this is one that I really think we have to exploit. Make them pay with explosives. Watching the Steelers this season, one of the themes I've seen is they give up big plays. They will give up big plays. In the game against the Cowboys, they gave up 5 plays of 20 yards or more. 2 were 30 or more, and 1 was over 40 yards. Against the Giants, they gave up 3 plays of 20 or more. 1 was over 40. So you can get vertical on them. Tolbert had a big 43-yard catch in the Cowboys game. Slayton had a 43-yard catch in the Giants game, and the Giants don't even go over the top like that. So I've said this already, and I talked about this throughout the course of the week. I think Terry's going to get one-on-one against Joey Porter Jr. I think they are really confident in his abilities, and they're going to give him a chance to try and match up with Terry one-on-one. If those opportunities present itself, they got to pay. And if they don't give Terry one-on-one, Noah Brown will get some opportunities to eat, and there'll be other opportunities for other players to eat, and we got to make some explosive plays. They struggle to cover tight ends. I expect Zach Ertz to have a really big game and a huge impact. But when it's all said and done, we're going to have a chance to throw the ball all around the yard. Dak Prescott had over 300 yards passing. If he didn't throw 2 interceptions and have another fumble, all occurring in the red zone, I may add, they would have scored 30 points and that game wouldn't have been close. They just turned it over when they got close to the end zone. You can move the ball. Daniel Jones had a really good game against them. A really good game. Joe Flacco ate them alive earlier in a Steelers loss at Indy. You can move the ball on this defense. You can score points on this defense. And you can have explosive plays on this defense. Make it happen. It's who we are. It's what we do. So do it. Defensive keys. First one, limit the run game. I talked about this last week with the Giants, and we didn't get it done. And that was embarrassing. There's no other way to say it. We don't have to worry about the quarterback keeping it and getting out for a 25-yard gain like we did last week with Daniel Jones. Russell Wilson isn't running read option, and if he does and he decides to keep it, he ain't running no damn where, right? So that's not even really a part of their offense with him. That was more of if Justin Fields is back there, you got to contend with that. And maybe they'll put in, because they are coming off their bye, they may put in a few wrinkles and they may try to put in a package for Justin Fields. I would not be shocked to see him on the field in some capacity, especially being that this is a copycat league and we've struggled with quarterback runs this season. I wouldn't be shocked if they said, hey, let's put in a couple plays, let's put in a package or two for Justin to get some carries and to stress that Commanders defense. Wouldn't be shocked. Whatever the case may be, whatever it looks like, stop the run. Whether it's Najee Harris, whether it's Jalen Warren, whether it's Justin Fields, or whomever, stop the run. Limit the run game. You may not completely shut it down, but limit it. We are the 28th rush defense in the league right now. That shit ain't good enough. Limit the run game of the Steelers. Kind of goes hand in hand with some of the things we're about to talk about, including this next key. Win the early downs consistently. That kind of goes hand in hand with limiting the run game. The Steelers want to establish the run on early downs. They want to be in an advantageous third and short situation. That's where Russell Wilson thrives. We have to put them in third and long situations, which will give us our best shot to get off the field on third downs. You let them live in third and manageable, we will struggle on third downs to get off the field. Win the early downs consistently. Win first and second downs. Force third and longs. I like our chances of getting off the field. And here's why. Russell Wilson is a guy that will take the check down on third down and long. He will take the check down on 3rd and 9 and hope that his guy breaks a tackle, or if I get it to him early enough in the down, he'll be able to run for the first down. He will take the check down to the tight end. He will take the check down to the running back. If you put him in 3rd and 11, he'll throw a 4-yard pass. But if it's 3rd and 5 and he throws a 4-yard pass, it's probably going to go for a first down. Don't let them be in those 3rd and 4s and 3s and 2s and 1s consistently. Put him in 3rd and 8s and 9s and 10s and 11s and see how he operates. Again, they convert those, you tip your cap, you move forward. But I like our chances if we can really limit them on the early downs and put them in long down and distances on third downs. Really like our chances. Next defensive key. Keep Russ bottled up and ball is life. You know what ball is life means. Russ isn't as mobile as he once was, but he still will step up and step through and look to deliver the football. I thought he did a really good job against the Giants in particular of stepping up and stepping through and delivering the football. Finding guys. The first, they had some penalties early in the game that negated touchdowns and opportunities, but you got to see Russ on full display, moving outside the pocket, extending plays, and finding receivers in the end zone and things of that nature. He can still do it. Have to keep him in the pocket. Have to keep the integrity of our rush lanes. Can't be rushing all reckless and allowing him to escape out of the back door or even through the front door. He's not as mobile as he once was. If you get to him, you can get him on the ground. If you get to him, you can force him to fumble. But you got to get to him. And you got to keep him in the pocket. I think we can get 1 or 2 from him. I really, truly do. Giants got 1 from him. But you have to make sure that you keep him in the confines of the pocket. Because he can still move. Last but not least, the final defensive key, bend but don't break and win or at least play even on special teams. The Steelers are going to move the football. They're going to move the ball. I don't think our defense is where we want it to be yet. It's a work in progress. The Steelers are good enough with the weapons that they have, with Russell Wilson at quarterback, to move the football. The key is going to be, don't give up the explosives, make them earn it, and when they get in the red zone, you got to buckle down and you got to find a way to force them to settle for a field goal or entice them to go for it and get a stop, and they get nothing. Tomlin has shown over the years to be a guy that will gamble. We'll go for two. We'll go for it on fourth down. We have to make sure that when they get down there, they're not coming away with touchdowns every time. We struggled against the Giants last week. We've struggled at times in the red zone. For the most part, we've been pretty solid, though. But we're going to have to be better. There have been games this season where teams have found it way too easy, we're way too successful in the red zone, and that's a recipe for disaster in this game. You're going to beat the Steelers. You're going to have to force them to kick some field goals, keep them out of the end zone altogether. They go for it on fourth down, force them to turn that ball over on downs like we did against the Bears. And then special teams cannot be a negative for us in this game. If worst case scenario, we break even in the special teams department, so be it. This is the best special teams we've faced all season long. Not even close. They block kicks. They've returned a punt for a touchdown. They're aggressive. They're going to force us to field the kickoff and return it. We've had our fair share of success there, but they're going to make us work. You're not just getting the ball at the 30. No block kicks, no surprises. Let's see if we can't generate a turnover or some kind of difference-making play on special teams. But we can't allow them to do it. They've done that quite a bit this season. They get in the red zone, keep them out of the end zone. You got to do that at least twice in this game. I would like to limit the red zone trips to 4 at most 4. And if they get in there 4 times and you're able to force 2 field goals or a fourth down stop if they decide to go for it, we'll win this game. I guarantee you, we'll win this game. You can't be giving up touchdowns every time they get down there, though. Bend, but don't break. So those are the keys to victory. Now, let's get to our final outcome and what I think is going to happen in this game. And there you have it. I think this Commanders team is ready for a challenge like this. I think this team has struggled to score on opening possessions for about a month. I don't think we've scored on an opening possession offensively a touchdown since Cleveland. No. Since Arizona. We have not scored an offensive opening possession touchdown since Arizona. We had a streak going. No, we didn't. We scored 2 weeks in a row, and it felt like, oh, man, this is great. We're going to score on the opening possession every week. We scored against Cincinnati on the opening possession. They went down, scored a touchdown. We answered and responded. We did the same thing against Arizona. They went down, scored a touchdown. We responded. We haven't scored a touchdown on the opening possession since. Threw an interception against Cleveland. Had a chance after a turnover forced against Baltimore, settled for a field goal. Against Carolina, got the interception, scored there. Then the offense had a chance, and they went down. Jaden got hurt after the big run, and settled for a field goal, right? Week 8 against the Bears, obviously, it was all field goals. We didn't score a touchdown until the Hail Mary. And then, obviously, last week against the Giants, we went 3 and out on our opening possession. So, we haven't scored a touchdown on the opening possession since week 4. We're due. It's time to turn the tables. Start fast and mash the gas and don't look back. This is going to be a close game. We're playing a good team. 30 feels aggressive, but after watching this Steelers defense this season, I'm not overly impressed. I know you can move the ball on them. I watched Dallas do it. I watched the Giants do it. You just got to finish drives with points instead of turnovers like Dallas did. You got to find the end zone, unlike the Giants did, who had to settle for a bunch of field goals and had penalties that negated touchdowns and things of that nature. You got to finish drives. We have to finish drives, and if we do that, we're going to score points because we can move the ball on this Steelers defense. Avoid the mistakes, put the ball in the end zone, and win this football game. I got the Commanders doing exactly that, 30-22, improving to 8-2 on the season. First time since 1986, starting with that record. And more importantly, 5-0 at home. First time since 1991, setting up a massive matchup in week number 11 on the road against the Philadelphia Eagles. More likely than not, with first place on the line. Doesn't get much better than that. Got to take care of this one first, though. What says you? Leave it down in the comment section. Scoring more. What do you think is going to happen in this game? How is it going to happen? Can't wait to read your responses. This is going to be fun, man. I'm looking forward to this. This is, like I said, I think after Lions-Texans, this is probably the best game of the week. Lions-Texans is on Sunday Night Football. This is, record-wise, I think this is better than Lions-Texans because the Lions, albeit they're 7-1, the Texans, I think, are 6-3, if I'm not mistaken. So, either way, it's going to be one hell of a game. Bart Scott can't wait. Anyway, I digress. Leave it down in the comment section. What do you think is going to happen? Scoring more. You guys enjoyed the weekend. I look forward to chopping it up with you guys on Sunday after the game. Win, lose, or draw, you know where to find me. I will be on Bleacher Report for 30 after the game immediately. But then after that, I'm coming to you on the channel, and we will discuss how the outcome came to be. And hopefully we'll be talking about another win for the good guys. You guys enjoy the weekend. Take care. And I'll see you on Sunday. You know what it is. Anybody, anywhere, anytime. It's time for the Steelers to find out all about how we get down. Take care. See you next time.
Here comes the diesel. Here comes the diesel. There's the snap, hand to Riggins. Good hole. He's got the first down to the 40. He's gone.